He's a fit guy, and this is gonna, I think, affect him short emotionally too. Right. Oh, gosh, that's tough.
Yeah.
Well, that's how he struck me as a guy that lives his life that way. He loves to test,
Absolutely.
the extreme, and that's great. That's all. But unfortunately, sometimes I hate this happens. It's tough.
I know.
So will we, right now,
We don't have a
two,
quorum.
we don't have a quorum. We're not even close, so.
We should have a quorum. You got
We have 3 callers.
three
We
callers.
do, okay.
Chris, Glenn, and
I don't know what the third one is.
Glenn, Chris, who's
I
calling?
don't know until we do
caller
roll
2
call.
and 3. We don't know.
Yeah, so until we do roll
Okay.
call.
Oh,
Morning, Glenn. Good, thanks. How are you?
I mean, it looks like we have a choice.
7, 8.
Morning, Eddie.
Hey, how you doing, Glenn? Good to hear from you.
Doing well.
Chris and who else?
For those on the phone, we'll get the meeting started shortly, okay? We're just getting ready to rock and roll here. Okay, so. Let's see, is Colin?
Was just.
He just stepped out. Usually, morning.
You know what, it is, because it really.
Yeah.
5, 6, 7. Should be.
Well, it's the time. It's the time.
So that, you got a pen I can borrow?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. Okay. Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the first monthly meeting of the Board of Directors of, the Board of Governors of the Lehigh Northampton Airport Authority. My name is Ed Lozano. I'm the Vice Chair. I am sitting in for Chuck Diacon, who is our Chairman. He's hopefully enjoying a little bit of better weather today, and hopefully we'll see him soon. So before we start, I would ask everybody to please rise and we'll conduct our Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll call the meeting to order, Sylvette, and could you please conduct a roll call?
Yes, sir, thank you. Brian Dames,
On the phone?
Chuck Diacon, Mike Dowd,
Here.
Frank Facciano, Glenn Geisinger,
Present by phone.
John Hayes, Larry Hamburger,
Present.
Ed Lozano,
Present.
Jeff Matskin, Glenn Riedman,
Present.
Ted Rosenberger, Mike Schwer, Matt Turk,
On the phone and on the way in.
thank you, Chris Worley,
On the phone?
Tara Zirinsky.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Sylvette. Given we have quorum, we'll move forward. I'd like to open up the floor to public comment. We have a good group there. Would anybody like to speak on behalf of the public?
I just would like to mention that if you guys are planning to do anything that involves steel reinforcement.
Okay, excuse me, if I could just ask you to please just come up to the podium, just state your name, and You have the floor. Usually we limit the public comment to about 3 minutes, but, obviously we'll play it by ear.
Hello, everybody. My name is Zachary Overdorf, and I'm here on behalf of Kings of Rebar Company. And I'd just like to state that if you guys are planning on any sort of activity or project that involves reinforcement of steel of any sorts, to not hire this company because of all the OSHA regulations that they violate, can proceed to shut their jobs down most of the time between the abuse, verbally and physically, like such as myself. A foreman approached me, he proceeded to get me into a headlock and choke me out just for simply, I guess I wasn't carrying the bar at his pace that he wanted because my foot was injured or something like that. So he just got angry and threw down his hard hat and charged at me. And also I would like to say that they don't pay their workers enough of the wages that they should for the type of jobs that they do, because it's a very dangerous job walking across all that steel and the foundations and whatnot. There's a lot of risks that are present, and they bid so low, they barely pay their workers like the minimum wage that they should get for doing these kind of jobs. And also that they exploit a lot of their workers. There's a lot of racism throughout the company. There's employees of color there. They just get so neglected, and it's just so unprofessional that I can't even put words to it. And I appreciate your time, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other public comment? Hey, good morning. Just please state your name.
My name is Mike Hickline. I'm an Assistant Federal Security Director with the Transportation Security Administration. And I just want to take a moment on behalf of my TSA employees to thank the Airport Authority for the tremendous support and generosity that we received during the shutdown. Between the meals, the food drive that was organized, all federal employees impacted by the shutdown have benefited. We really appreciate the support, and we're thankful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for all your hard work and efforts. Round of applause for TSA. Thank you, Mr. Kickline. Anybody else from public who would like to make a comment? Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
For your service. Thank you. Okay, we'll close out public comment. Thank you for that. Just for clarification for our board members, the gentleman who presented is part of a subcontracting group. So we have taken this matter into consideration. It's duly noted, and we've referred it to our general contractor, who will then follow through on whatever processing steps are necessary. But we appreciate your candidness, and it will be reviewed by the contractors and the appropriate authorities, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, so let's go into the first order of business here, which is our approval of minutes from our last Board of Governors meeting as of November 2018. Could I please have a motion to accept the minutes as written? Okay, motion by Tara. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Second by Mike. Okay. Any questions, comments on the minutes from November 2018? Okay. Hearing none, can I get a vote, please, to approve the minutes? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Anyone who wishes to dissent, please say nay. Okay. Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you very much. So we've approved the minutes. Now we'll continue on to our committee presentations, and our Secretary Treasurer, John Hayes, is not present with us today. He's at a hearing down in Philadelphia. He's, I guess, participating in that. So we're going to have Todd present on his behalf, our Finance Director. So Todd, would you please walk us through the Treasury report?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. We're going to present December, even though we didn't have November's meeting last month, but this is year-to-date, so it's more current. This is the income statement for the month of December. This basically tells you what's going on for December. December is a tricky month for us because what you have is, end of the year, you have a lot of accruals, and these are preliminary numbers. So our final audited numbers are usually not done until April-ish, but you get a pretty good feel of what's going on year-to-date. But for the month, we pretty much ended up around $80,000 net income. Good stuff. That number for November, that net income number looks low, where you see 2.3 budgeted. Some of that was due to the reduction of the cargo flights, versus what we had talked about before. But the big piece of that is the accruals that we put in, the additional accruals for the anticipated airline settlement to be a little bit more conservative. There's $250,000 more in there. So we're up to $700,000 anticipated settlement, which is what we had anticipated last year. I think we ended up with about $643,000. Expenses, we've done a really good job this year. When we knew an expense was coming, we accrued it. So we were ahead of the game. So a lot of times what happens in December is, you can see we're budgeted $24,000. You have a lot of back-end expenses. We kind of accounted for them earlier, so we were ahead of that. Does that mean lights out, Savette?
Yes. Give me 1 second.
You got a joke, Don?
No, I'm working on it right now. Darren's a joke guy.
Dramatic pause.
But again, you see what's going on here. You see at the bottom, the accrued extra $250,000 for the settlement. And again, a lot of our expenses that we accrued for during the year were already accrued for. And actually, what happened for December, we actually had to reduce some of those accruals because we were a little too conservative. So we had to kind of reduce those accruals. So that means that the expenses were actually lowered in December. You can go to the next slide. Year to date, which is really the main thing we want to focus on, $4 million. Remember last year we had a phenomenal year, 3.8. This year we broke the $4 million barrier. Great stuff. So we feel good about that. It's a collaborative effort between staff and the board. You know, we go back and forth, we talk about some different things, but it really is a team effort, and we should really feel good about that, considering the lean times we have. What I get excited about is always revenue, because you can cut, but you can't cut your way to success, and we had a growth in revenue. You see that in the passenger traffic as well, so that's great stuff for us. Again, our number one revenue source continues to be parking, so it's nice when that number's up. You see at the bottom, number 2 on that note, that parking revenue is up 11% versus budget, and that's a lot to do with the passenger traffic. Again, the activity, when the activity's up, that means more fueling, more de-icing, more everything, and we're happy moving forward. Again, this shows you our passenger traffic, 14.6 versus 2017. If you kind of see what's happened since 2013, what's happened, we were up 15, 16, 17, and 18. So we've got 4 straight years where we went up every single year, which is great stuff. And again, for us, it's the activity. I mean, at one point we thought a million passengers was a pipe dream. We were just saying that like, we're never going to be at a million. That was our heyday way back when. It's possible. And the nice thing, if you look at the bottom, you see the Allegiant traffic is up, which has always been helpful for us. But the legacy carriers are up as well, because we need everyone to kind of get on board for us to hit that million if we can get there moving forward. Again, if you break down what makes up kind of the breakdown, it's 1.2 million of net revenue. And again, that's about the additional parking and the additional activity that gives us more revenue. Great stuff. And then on the expense side, the bulk of the expense side is our benefits and salary. If you remember, I must talk about this every single time, we got a huge rebate on our self-funded last year. $400,000, that reduced that number as well. This year, not so much. But again, for last year, and we always try to be strategic in our hiring, so that's also a good sign for us. And we didn't really have a bad year as far as snow, so that helped us out a lot. Snow's a big deal around here. I'm not saying that because it's snowing right now, but it's a big deal as far as extra time, overtime, and all that stuff. So it wasn't a bad year, so that helped us out as well. And then we have I'll go back one more, Sabette. I want to mention John, since John's not here, his recurring, non-recurring revenue that he always talks about at the bottom for the easements with selling the property, and that was the about 400 and some thousand of that 598 was 423 was for the easements. And the bigger piece of that after that was the reimbursements we got from the Wiley roof. Go on. And again, on the cash flow, we did see some impact from the government shutdown, which started our number off for 2019. It's a lot lower than budgeted. We're about 2.3 million less than what we budgeted, but we do anticipate catching up by the end of the year. It's just timing. The only big difference from the versus the end of the year is going to be this number right here, which is the airline settlement, which I said we went from 450 to 250. That's a conservative number. Obviously, we're going to do what's fair and reasonable, but that's a conservative number. Last year was 643. We actually accrued 700. We ended up with 643, so we accrued again 700,000 for this year. So that's probably the biggest difference in the net number at this point is that more conservative number of 700,000. But at the end, that's the only difference. Any questions? Again, I think I don't want to do the Heisman. Only Eddie can do that. But we had a good year, and it's really based on everybody's collaborative efforts, so we should really feel good about that. We've had a lot of lean years, and it's nice to have a few good years that we put together based on everybody's hard work. Any other questions?
I just wanted to comment on one thing, Sylvette. Could you just go back to the chart that had the year-to-date summary?
Which one?
And we're going to elaborate a little bit more on this in terms of achievements of the airport authority during the
I think it's going back to the one
directors.
before that. This one?
A couple more back,
This one?
one more, there we go, is that the year-to-date?
Yes.
Just for everybody's benefit, I wanted to take a minute, because this is a summation of a full year.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, the health of an organization is usually reflected in the top line, or the revenue number over here, as you can see. And what's been great in terms of staff and the organization as a whole is this number has been going up consecutively now for a couple of years. I think Tom will speak further about this during his section, but this is a pretty consistent and extraordinarily strong, performance by staff and the organization. So that's great. The organization is healthy. Hopefully we continue to go. Number two, a major credit to staff, and this is really tough in any organization, even in a private sector organization, is keeping your expenses below your plan. It's been phenomenal how staff has managed to come under budget on expenses month in, month out, year in, year out. That is no easy feat coming from a private sector guy. So especially, high marks and kudos.
And one of the things you might want to point out with that is when you're lean, you get used to not spending money unless it's necessary. So we kind of trained ourselves to be kind of frugal when it came to expenses. So that's helped us out.
And that's a great point, and we've talked about in committee meetings how some of this needs to be reinvested in our organization, but staff deserves extra credit for doing a wonderful job managing expenses. Depreciation, clockwork. They've projected it very accurately, and it's always been delivered. And then obviously, this is why I wanted to just kind of highlight this. The net income is great in the sense of we've been outperforming, our objectives. And number two is that net income gives us additional funds to reinvest in our business. Now, that's where I just want to take a second and highlight for the private sector people in the room, that money goes back to shareholders, it goes back to others in a private sector environment. This is not that case. So I would like everyone to kind of take away that these funds aren't money that, the airport authority just made a ton of money, they're rich. No, this fund goes back into the system to maintain the infrastructure that for many years has been depleted because of the lean years. So I don't want anyone to take away that, hey, the airport authority has $4 million and we're going to go out and have a party or something like that. That $4 million is just really good, prudent financial and operational management, and those funds always get reinvested. And what that means is hopefully we're asking for less funds from other organizations, whether it's county organizations, government organizations, et cetera. And obviously that's good for everybody. So I just wanted to take that second. It was a stellar year in many regards. Obviously we still have opportunities, but a great year, great effort by staff, on the financial management, on the prudent management, and hopefully this will continue. But again, hats off to you guys for doing a great job.
And I did not mention what's in that 19 million. We did put the extra 200,000 in our pension in December. And then, you know, that was a board initiative to try to stay ahead of the down market.
Yep.
So, you know, we've done what we can to try to help our pension plans stay higher funded. Obviously, it's been a tough year, but again, without those funds, it would be even less than that. And we've done that 2 straight years where we've made additional contribution to our pension. I think we do make wise choices in our expenses. We don't just spend money because it's there. We actually, you know, are strategic about spending the money, and I think that's something to really be proud about. And again, we learned it from being lean, so we taught ourselves how to be smart about spending money.
Thank you, Todd. Any
Yeah.
questions for Todd regarding the financial presentation? Okay, hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented by Todd?
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Can I get a second, please? Thank you, Larry. Now we'll open it up for any other additional questions, comments regarding the treasurer's report. Okay, hearing none, let's go to a vote. All those in favor of approving the treasurer's report as presented by Todd, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Anybody dissenting? Okay, hearing no dissenters, the motion passes. Thank you very much, Todd, for a wonderful year and a great financial report. I'll now pass it off to Tom, our Executive Director, for the Director's Report. Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I wanted to start with our 2018 accomplishments, just talk about a couple of the milestones for us in the year. We've talked a little bit about it, and this is in Novus. If you wanted to look at all 9 pages, I'm not going to put us through that. But again, total passenger traffic, 14.5% increase in 2018 over last year in 2017. And that's based on 15 consecutive months of increases. So we were on a streak of 15 months, of continuous increases. So I think, again, just a number of factors at play there, some additional service, some upgauging of aircraft. And so the trend continues with the second bullet point, which is the new service, one of our legacy carriers here, American Airlines, providing additional service to Chicago. That's starting in April. So we had an announcement last year. We've been talking about some of that. And what's interesting is for the first time we're seeing one of the legacy carriers really focusing outside of a hub. So it's kind of interesting. And we have service to Chicago on United, of course, but it's interesting we've got American there as well. So it's fantastic news for us. Still moving quite a bit of cargo through here, 206 million pounds, which is fantastic. Number of emergency incidents that we respond to, there's alerts I think that we get every day, incidents, trips and falls, you name it. But it's always critical for us that as we take care of the injured, we're making sure that we're also taking care of our own departmental personnel. So it's very important. Again, the financial audit. No audit findings, so a clean audit, which is something to be very proud of. No comments there, and that's hats off to Todd and his team, Karen. So we thank them very much for their hard work on that. Also, something we talked about in March of last year was the Part 139 inspection, a very comprehensive multiple day and night inspection of the airport facilities, lights, runways, training records, and 0 discrepancies. First time for ABE, perfect inspection, something to be very proud of. The 75th anniversary of Queen City was a fantastic event. I think it was the only day in the summer it didn't rain, but we had maybe that's why we had 3,200 people attend, but again, it was just a great cause, a great time to just get out to the airport, to see the history, to talk to some of the veterans, World War II veterans and others that were there. It's just a fantastic time. And also we got the opportunity to raise some money for the Pennsylvania Wounded Warriors through donation, and $6,000 certainly just through donation. Just again, fantastic day, fantastic event. So a lot of fun, and turning our direction towards our other air park, Braden, and 2 new businesses. So just when we think about it, it was a year ago we started an initiative to revitalize Braden. And with some assistance from Northampton County, basically upgrading some of the facilities, and turned around and was able to market those facilities, and now 2 aviation specialty businesses at Braden, a flight school, and also an aircraft maintenance service provider. So just fantastic turnaround on Braden, so very excited about that. And then still continuing on general aviation, Hangar 11 here at ABE, groundbreaking on that hangar, $16 million hangar. And I think just kudos to staff on this project. Very extraordinary project for this airport. And I think the other thing that's extraordinary to remember here is every year the state Bureau of Aviation has $10 million of capital budget money statewide that they can distribute. And ABE was able to receive 6 of that 10 million for this project. So again, I think it just shows the continued work that we're doing with the funding sources that we have, and just a fantastic job pulling this project together. Again, land sale, working with Rockefeller, 91 acres, 3.4 in revenue. Again, restricted account revenue, but certainly helpful as we continue to expand our non-aeronautical revenues and looking at ways to do that. And certainly last but not least, the 3rd airport in the world. So we had Shannon, Ireland, Atlanta Hartsfield, and ABE in that order, to have a sensory room for passengers with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And it continues to be a fantastic amenity for families. We continue to work with the ARC on other events like our Wings for All program, and it's really been an amenity that we're very proud of, and very proud an airport our size can have such a thing. So again, if you'd like to read through a number of the rest of the 9 pages, please feel free. I just wanted to take a few opportunities here just to kind of go through the highlights and talk about some of those milestones. But it was a fantastic year, as was already mentioned. I couldn't be prouder, but I do want to say thank you to the team behind me, the side of me, the people in this room that are all the work behind these things. I get to sit here in front of all of you and take credit, but it's really about the people behind me. So I just want to say thank you to them. And with that, I'll just jump into a couple of quick points. Since our last meeting on January 14th, we did meet with Harrisburg Airport's district office to talk about capital project funding. So again, still looking at opportunities for funding our growing capital program and the importance of reinvestment into our facilities. So very important for us. Also on the 14th, we had a Real ID pop-up event at ABE. We had over 200 folks processed through that pop-up event. And so it was very successful. And we thank PennDOT for coming out to do that here. We also, on January 15th, announced our 12th nonstop destination. And so now Darren's working on our baker's dozen. But we've got Allegiant service now to Savannah, and that'll begin June 8th. So we're very excited that service with Allegiant. We continue to have a fantastic 13-year partnership with them, and we're excited about that. So Wednesday and Friday this past week, staff held a donation drive for the federal government workers here locally at ABE affected by the shutdown, and it's called Fill the Bus event. And Colin and I spoke, and we were excited, hoping that we could fill the bus, and in fact we did about 5 times. So that's really a credit to, it was more than that? Okay, it was even more than that. I'm getting the up sign. Okay, so it was more than 5. All right, so, but I think the takeaway was the community support, and I think we heard from TSA earlier, just the incredible support that this community provided to our federal workers here, and we just couldn't be more overwhelmed at that support, and I know how thankful all the federal employees here were. So we thank everyone for that. In terms of upcoming events, February 5th, staff will be meeting with our freshman legislators in Harrisburg to talk about some of the needs of our airports here. Also February 5th, we're having a Fear of Flying seminar, backed by popular demand here at ABE. So details of that are on flylvia.com if you want to sign up. On February 12th, I will be participating in a President's Roundtable discussion regarding the LNAA with the Chamber of Commerce. So I'll be sitting in on that, and I know that Frank Fasciano will be grilling me accordingly. No, I'm just kidding. February 11th through the 22nd, we do have another TSA pre-check event, and that's weekdays from 9 to 5. So far, just on the pre-checks that we've held here at ABB, over 7,800 people have been enrolled just through our own program here. So we continue to have great success with the pre-check process, and so we encourage people, if they're interested, to go online to tsa.gov to sign up for that. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, that concludes my report.
Tom, thanks for a wonderful report. Question from the public?
Is the February 5th meeting open to the public?
The February 5th meeting. Which February 5th meeting?
You said there's a meeting with elected officials regarding,
That will be in Harrisburg.
oh, okay. So yes or no?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Tom, for a wonderful report. Open up the floor to any questions of Tom, our Executive Director, on his report. Okay. I would just close by saying, again, thank you, Tom, in particular, as the leader of our organization, who stepped in last year and helped execute, I would say, a very smooth transition, and kept the ball rolling. There could have been disruption, but thanks to Tom's leadership and with the support of his senior staff, the organization didn't skip a beat. I'd say, quite frankly, took off. It's just wonderful to have you as a leader and have your staff working with you collaboratively, and also collaboratively with the board. I think that's very important. We set out a mission to be the best regional airport system in the country. I think we're well on our way to achieving that. As Todd highlighted, we have really good macro objectives and strategies now. We're thinking strategically, and I think we have some really good action plans, and we're executing well. So we continue this, guys. I think, your goal and our goal of being the #1 airport in the country is going to come to fruition. So again, couldn't be more pleased with what's going on here, and thank you, Tom, in particular, and staff for all your work and efforts. I'll close out the director's report, and we'll move on to the solicitor's report. So, Judge?
The time has come again to discuss our annual financial disclosure interest forms. Sylvette has provided copies to all board members. We have until May 1 to file these, but it's a good idea to take a look at them sooner rather than later, because you might have to gather some information to enable you to fill it out accurately. Once again, as is usually the case, the solicitor's office is available to assist you. Frequently there are questions about whether something has to be disclosed or should be disclosed and so forth. If you have that kind of question, just get in touch with me. We will get back to you promptly with a response. Just to state again, it is the responsibility of every board member to file for 2018, which is the current report that's due. Any questions about that?
Okay, thank you, Judge. We are going to move into new business now. Does anybody have any new business to present for the organization? Okay, hearing none, we'll close out the new business section, and we're now going to probably continue on to an executive session.
I
So, Judge?
request an executive session to discuss a pending litigation matter. That's the Airport Ventures lawsuit for counsel fees and expenses. I have a report that I'd like to present to you in executive session on the status of that case.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Do we need a vote coming out?
I'm sorry?
Do we need a vote?
To go into
After?
Is it a voting
afterward.
matter?
Oh, yes, we will need a vote. Afterwards, we'll come back into public session for a vote after the executive session.
Okay. So can I get a motion, please, to move into executive session? Thank you, Tara. Can I get a second, please? Thank you, Larry. Okay, we're going to go into executive session, public, so thank you very much. We don't expect it to be too long.